Welcome to the first episode of E-commerce Office Hours, where I answer some of your most common e-commerce questions. When doing wholesale drop shipping on Amazon or elsewhere, how many supplier accounts do you open each day? So when applying to wholesale suppliers, I'll have a VA apply to about 5 each day. That seems to be a really good sweet spot where it keeps your pipeline full, but it also doesn't overwhelm you or your team. Obviously, you won't get accepted to everyone that you apply to, so you definitely want to apply to multiple suppliers. But often, if you apply to too many at once, you might get accepted to too many too quickly. And then you won't be able to buy products from all of them at once, and it'll tarnish your ability to use them in the future. So in my experience, about 5 a day is usually a great sweet spot. How do you deal with returns on Poshmark? So dealing with returns on Poshmark is similar to dealing with returns on pretty much any other platform. If a customer returns an item to you, then you can simply return it back to your supplier for a full refund. But if you're making sure to list products correctly and you describe them exactly how they are in like variation, size, color, etc., then you won't get many, if any, returns on Poshmark. Because on the platform, customers are only allowed to return something if it's not described accurately or if it shows up damaged. Is selling on Bonanza profitable? Yes, selling on Bonanza is profitable. Just make sure that when you're listing your products and you're choosing what amount of promotion that you want Bonanza to run on them, you don't choose one that's too high and will cut too deep into your profit margin. And that's obviously going to depend on how high your product prices are and how much margin you have built into that. Will you run into any legal issues if you use images that you find on Google in your Etsy print-on-demand designs? I never recommend fully copying any image that you find on Google or online for any reason, whether that's print-on-demand or anything else. You can often get away with it, and most people do, but it obviously comes with a lot of risk. Instead, what I recommend is you use bits and pieces of them or just use them as inspiration. If you're not good at graphic design, then just hire somebody that can do it extremely easily with graphic design experience. Which leads me to the next question. How can you find a good, trustworthy virtual assistant to hire? And this is exactly how I found my graphic designer. So finding a good, trustworthy virtual assistant is similar to finding any good employee. You want to interview and test a bunch of different candidates so you can get a good gauge on who's out there and what can be expected of them. You never want to bring on one of the first few people that you talk to, not because they might not be good, because you can't possibly know what else is out there yet. So I always recommend hiring people from onlinejobs.ph2, which is a website that specifically connects business owners like you and me or entrepreneurs in need of virtual assistants to online VAs from the Philippines specifically. Now, the Philippines is notorious for VA workers that have e-commerce experience, so it's a great pool of people to hire from. Plus, the cost of living there is super cheap relative to your country in most cases, which means that you can find quality VAs for extremely cheap. I've found great people here for as little as $2 per hour, including my current graphic designer, who I love. You'll want to fill out a job description and post it to the website, and then you'll start getting applications from people who believe they have the skills to do that job and they're a good fit and why. Then I suggest that you read through those applications after a few days pass and email or message at least 3 to 5 people that you think seem solidly qualified. Then give them a small test job to see if they're actually a good fit and pick the best person out of those people. And the great thing about onlinejobs.ph as well is that within the website, you can even hire somebody directly and bring them on full time. Pay them with either Payoneer or PayPal, again, directly on the website, and check their hours and see screenshots of their computer during those hours that they're working at 5 to 10 minute intervals. That way you can make sure that they're really doing the work during the hours that you're paying them for. It's an amazing site, and it's honestly revolutionized my business and my ability to outsource almost anything. Can you use SKUGrid to automatically reprice your Poshmark listings? You can use SKUGrid to reprice your items on Poshmark, yes. Unfortunately though, SKUGrid has no ability to connect into the back end of your Poshmark seller account and automatically adjust your prices or your stock. That's because Poshmark doesn't technically allow drop shipping within their terms of service, so they don't let a software like that connect. So while you can't automatically reprice or stock change, you can still use SKUGrid with the email functions and simply have them email you updates when a price changes or your supplier goes out of stock. From there, you can search that product within your Poshmark closet and just manually adjust the price or put it out of stock if your supplier is out of it. But to be honest, I don't don't really run into this issue that much on Poshmark when I'm specifically using Amazon Prime and Walmart Plus as my main two suppliers. Yes, I might sell a few products every month that are out of stock on my supplier's website, but it's only a few out of dozens to maybe 100 transactions or so. So at that point, you can either easily just cancel the order with no issues or just try to find a similar product to send them. When you do that, they'll either accept that similar product without even realizing, or they'll ask to return it on the platform, in which case you can then just return it to your supplier for a full refund anyway, and you don't have to worry about canceling. And then obviously after that, I'll put my product manually out of stock in my closet going forward, so I now know that. That's been my approach for years on Poshmark. I don't use SKU Grid because I feel like it would take too much time manually changing the prices on thousands of products. Can you use eBay as a supplier when drop shipping on Poshmark? So I don't recommend using eBay as a supplier when dropshipping on Poshmark. On Poshmark, you need to use the label they give you, which means you can't directly dropship to the customer. You need to order it to you first and then ship it to the customer with the Poshmark label. Because of that, I recommend using Amazon Prime and or Walmart Plus, because between both of them, there's millions of high quality products that you can list that can be at your door in just 1 to 2 days, maybe 3 max. And on Poshmark, they give you 3 days to initiate the shipment, so almost every order on eBay that you'd place wouldn't get to you in time and you'd be late shipping it out. I really hope you got some value from this video. I want these to kind of be rapid fire answers so you get a lot of insight from frequently asked questions really quickly. Since this is the first one of these, I'd love to hear if you like these or not, and if they get some good feedback, I'll make more.